Hi, my name's Rick Cabanas. I live in Glenwood. I've been here for a couple years. I had, first I wanted a clarification. I got a new copy of the bill today, and I don't see anything where it designates that a short-term rental is not a rental in a primary residence. Is that part of the bill still in here? Okay, it's just not.
We're not too engaged with the testifiers right now, but you could ask that question to somebody in Hilo when you're finished testifying. I think the Deputy Planning Director is there.
I'll move on. There was one amendment that was introduced by Eileen O'Hara that talked about having permission from any neighbor within 300 feet. And I wanted to bring something up about that. I just went through an experience trying to obtain a permit for a retreat center. And I had one neighbor who, he doesn't like mainlanders, Howies. He doesn't like white people. He doesn't like people with big houses. And for that reason, he was very adamant in getting my permit turned down. And the same thing can happen, it will happen in this particular case, if that's a requirement for somebody with a vacation rental to get permission from all their neighbors. People might not like you because they don't like your political affiliation. They might not like you because where you came from, your nationality. There are so many different prejudices that affect the way a person will respond, and they're based on emotion or prejudices. They're not based on a reasonable expectation. The neighbors should not be allowed to set county criteria for someone getting a permit. We've been running Airbnb style business since 2016. It's very quiet, and I understand people's concerns about noise levels, and I think that's probably addressed in other county codes. I just would like to say that I do not like the idea of having neighbors with prejudices being able to determine county code. And that's pretty much it.
Okay, thank you. And next.
Hello, my name's Kevin Hopkins. I turned in some comments on the draft that was still up on the County Council's agenda. I see now that the thing has been revised somewhat, and so some of my comments actually have been taken care of. I'll add one. What? Okay, I'm pleased to see that everybody is going to be registered this time. It's important that the county understand how important this industry is and really where it is, not just talking about the people, the non-conforming ones. Second, I'm concerned that the $500 fee that was before is discriminatory in that it does not apply to all short-term rentals. It only applied to the non-conforming ones. And it also, the problem that it has here is that somebody who has, say, 100 acres.
Chair, we're getting a lot of feedback, so I'm not sure if it's from someone's mic in Kona.
Okay, sorry, let me try again.
Thank you.
Okay, much better, thank you. Sure. Yeah, I couldn't hear myself. It was echoing too much in my head there. The registration fee is discriminatory as it does not apply equally to all short-term rentals. A person owning multiple units on 100 acres in Hamakua is exempt from the registration as long as he lives in one of the units and they're on the same TMK. But an owner of two adjacent 7,500 square foot lots in Nanavali, which are only worth $3,500 each, if they use one of those lots for a thing, they got to pay the $500 under the one that was had with. At least try to be fair on this one here. I had a question about why are vacation rentals being singled out for an annual registration when there are many other non-conforming uses throughout this county, and I don't see them being charged every year for it. Maybe, for the registration, okay, but for every year, on that one. It does not, the fees as with the single $500 does not reflect the difference between an occasional rental of a one-bedroom unit versus the rental throughout the year of a mansion. Part of these things, what I'm saying is, unfortunately, it's too much of our way. The thing there is the guys with the money get subsidized while everybody else gets stuck with paying the bill. And I'm really concerned about what happens to the parts of the county that don't have resort zonings, or parts of the county that lost all of their rentals. We lost, 400 units possibly down in Kapoho? We were developing a property down there so we could help pay our property taxes on the other ones there. That's gone. So we're concerned about that. The county should be encouraging local owners to get into the business instead of doing everything it can to increase the profits of the offshore corporations that control our hotels. Last thing, the comment over here about verification, which I just noted here too. I'm concerned about that. That's going to be a whole lot of work, and I don't see where written in here is so our neighbors can complain, but does that lead to a denial or not? Because the only things I see about denials talk about renewals. What about getting the first permit? Particularly for those of us who have been operating for several years. And if I copy everybody around our unit, there's a whole lot of people who don't even know we're there, but who don't like the idea just in general. And so I have a problem with this verification and the notification and verification. Okay, and I'd like to stop there. Okay, thank you very much for providing me the opportunity.
Madam Chair, John Olson here, members of the committee. We've received some interesting testimony today and some well-researched information that needs to be added to this ongoing conversation. For my part, this needs to be fair in the sense that you create more winners than losers. Each one of the subdivisions, each one of the geographic areas should be assigned a number to be met. Everyone should be a participant at some level. The visitor industry benefits us all. We take both the blessing and the bane in equal measure. It's what floats our boat, figuratively and literally. I know that there are more amendments coming. My own council person has some in the wings. I hope that this council will review those with care along with the testimony that you've just received. This is not going to be a simple matter, but it is a very important one. The simple necessities of planning for an ongoing successful visitor industry that benefits everyone. And that means moving that benefit into the communities where the people who live there also will enjoy the benefits of the work and the income. Thank you.
State Constitution and the Hawaii Taxpayers Bill of Rights and the Federal Taxpayers Bill of Rights, which are guaranteed to all people. TVR owners should not be deprived of these fundamental rights. Your bill is still illegal. According to Bill 108, quote, evidence of prior use that shall be provided to the director may include tax documents for the relevant time period, including State of Hawaii general excise tax filings, transient accommodation tax filings, and federal and state of Hawaii income tax returns, unquote. It is not legal to ask for these documents since they are private information of taxpayers. This provision violates taxpayers' rights to confidentiality and privacy. Our elected officials are ignoring the fact that residents depend upon the income from vacation rentals to help pay their mortgages and living expenses. Trying to push a bill like this through during the eruption is underhanded. The citizens of Puna are reeling, having lost their homes, their TVRs, and their communities. When you should be showing up as leaders, you are trying to push through a tax hike and also trying to shut down their livelihoods. At this point, as an island, there is no count as to how many TVRs were destroyed by lava. People who depend on house cleaning, landscaping, plumbing, construction, and maintenance are all out of work now that TVRs are gone. TVR owners have opened their doors to evacuees and are housing them for free or low cost while you try to shut them down. Hotels have done little or nothing to help while TVR owners are opening their doors. The economic hardship of an annual $500 fee to operate a transient vacation rental is a burden that many local citizens of the Big Island cannot afford. Why $500 for a vacation rental when a normal business and occupational license in Hawaii County ranges from $1 to $100 depending on the type of license? $500 appears punitive. Ms. O'Hara's new amendment, quote, for non-conforming use certificates, the annual renewal fee will be based on the amount of transient accommodations taxes that were paid for the previous year, unquote. This has the same issue of not being legal under tax law. Hawaii has significantly bigger problems on its plate than vacation rentals. Her report published April 23, 2018 in Hawaii News Now by the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, an individual earning $49,450 is now considered low income statewide. Keep in mind that teachers in Hawaii who are just starting out their career and have a bachelor's degree make about $36,000. TVR owners are just trying to make ends meet.
Thank you for your testimony.
Okay, thank you. Hello, my name is Renee. I'm a homeowner in Waikoloa Village. The house next door to me, which is zoned as a single-family residence, is being operated as a 6-unit hotel. It is a house that has been converted into a hotel with 5 carloads of tourists nightly, in addition to the homeowner's family who also lives there. This is 6 groupings of family in a single family home. You can imagine how many people that means. It's anywhere from 10 to 25 people a night. We've calculated that over 1,000 people have slept in our neighbor's home in the last year. These are strangers in our neighborhood. Not only do they cause all kinds of noise disturbance, which aren't always loud, but they go on 9 o'clock, first group comes in, 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock. People are checking in and then they start leaving for flights at 5 a.m. in the morning. That happened last night. It happened the night before. It happened a year ago. And it's been nonstop like that. So we get about 4 hours of sleep. They're on hotels.com, booking.com, all of the sites, over 40 sites. There's security issues associated with this. People have actually entered my home at night thinking that it's the hotel. People have come in my house. Was that my time? Okay, I'm sorry. Drones are flown through our yard because there's so many. It's just how many people are there is causing the problem. It's the extremes of all of this. They've actually generated traffic accidents in front of the house. We've come home and there's been a cop in the front yard and he was actually dealing with a traffic accident in their own parking lot in the front yard. They have attracted thieves. We've had a break-in in front of our house because there's always so many rental cars there and it's attracting that type of situation. Of course, cops have also come for noise and disturbance. So the security, the noise, the trash, the amount of problems we've had, some of this will be dealt with in this bill, but the problem that I see for our particular situation is that our neighbor began in March of 2017 doing this, so they would be grandfathered through in parts of this bill. The homeowners also live there. In some of the reviews, they're said to be sleeping on the floor in the kitchen. So that also does not help us with this bill. The main thing is there's no enforcement of the regulations. We have regulations in place that no more than 5 unrelated people can be in this house. And that's the main thing, is there's no enforcement built into this bill. So even if it's passed, we have the same problem that we have right now. Okay, thank you. You had a couple more seconds, but okay. I'll say the last thing. Okay. The owners on the other side of this hotel have moved out. They've left. They were here for 20 years, and these people have bullied them out of their home. So these people who love Waikoloa, who love Big Island, they left. They were there 20 years, they're kapuna, and they couldn't deal with it anymore. And I'm not at that point yet, but I'm breaking, and it's not fair to our neighborhood. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yeah.
Okay, sir, like you introduce yourself.
Okay. All right. Hi. Well, first of all, my name is Mark Erickson. I'm a vacation rental owner, operator in the Puna district. And I am opposed to parts of this bill. I want to first say that right off the bat, I apologize and for people who have had bad experiences with vacation rental owners and operators. And I know Mr. Stefan in the back there personally had some very bad experiences with a property owner, and that was terrible. And I pride myself on running a very safe, very quiet operation. My neighbors don't even know I run an operation. That's how quiet I am. And I hope that they never do, actually. So I think the thing that I would like to see done is more, and it's kind of already there somewhat, is more focus on dealing with problem situations. The problem I have with the bill is there are certain elements of it that just kind of put people out of business. It is not focused on problem areas. One of them is the letters of notifications. I did a little arithmetic on that. 300 feet, that's how many of my neighbors I'm going to have to notify. See all the guys inside the circle? That's 20. How would you like to go and try and contact 20 of your neighbors and tell them you're going to do something on your property and want them to sign off on it? It really sets you up to get put out of business. That's what it does. I mean, just getting their names and addresses is going to be a problem. And then I have to send registered mail because I have to verify that I contacted them. So then it raises another thing too. Some of my neighbors are criminals. And I'm going to give them detailed information about how many bedrooms I have in my house. While they're sitting there smoking meth, they're studying the floor plan of my house. No, I'm making kind of a joke, but seriously, some of my neighbors are criminals, and I'm giving them detailed information about my home. All right? So I think a solution to that problem, just real quick, and there's probably others, is simply to put a sign with the same notification information on the front of my property. That way, if for some reason I have a person that's making noise, somebody wants to make a complaint, they can come and look at that sign right in the front of my property and say, okay, here's who I call, here's who I contact. Rather than sending out 20 letters that might invite people, like was already said, might invite someone that doesn't like me, doesn't like my color of my skin or something, and would invite them to exercise some sort of prejudice. Just one other thing real quick. I still got a few seconds. This reachable thing, 24/7, how many of you miss phone calls? Seriously. I mean, the way it's written, I have to answer my phone always, or I am found in non-compliance, and I can be in trouble because I didn't answer my phone. I have to have a period of time, maybe an hour, to return a call. Okay? So in summary, I guess that's about it. Also, well, that's it. I guess that's it. I pay my taxes, by the way. And I'm certainly in favor of anything that causes people to pay their taxes. They have the deadline of July 20, 2018, which is only going to decrease tax revenue. If you guys want to increase tax revenue, set that date out in the future, and then people will be motivated to get signed up for their GET and TAT, and you'll make more money, not less.
Thank you, sir.
Hi. My name is Luisa Lee, and I'm from Hilo. So I actually just wanted to call attention to some testimony that was submitted by the Hawaii Appleseed Foundation, I think they are. So this is something. Push it back.
Chair. Okay, thank you.
My mic's not on.
Okay, thank you.
So there's a lot of data in this. I guess could be like a white paper that they submitted, and there's some pieces in here that really kind of like resonate with where I'm at with the bill, and some recommendations that I wanted to highlight. I really encourage council members to read this paper in its entirety. It's not really long, but it has some important information. So a couple of the things that I found really, really important was some data that they talked about the need for housing in Hawaii being almost 25,000 units between 2016 and 2020. And the reality of that 74% of the total housing units required by 2025 will be for people making less than $75,000 a year. So a previous someone who previously testified talked about a teacher's wage at $36,000. I think we also need to consider not just paying mortgages with TVR income, but the reality of families being able to afford homes in Hawaii and keeping Hawaii neighborhoods. The white paper highlights some recommendations for the bill that I think are really, really important. And these include limiting the number of units in a specific area. So what we see when we look at maps of where TVRs are, they are found a lot in, say, coastal communities. And so the impact of those in those communities is really, really significant. And I think that there should be a limitation on the number of short-term vacation rentals that are in within a certain area. And also a limit on the number of non-conforming permits a single owner can have. And so in my community, there is a single owner that has 6 properties. Should he be allowed to have non-conforming permits for all 6 of those, all within a block and a half of each other? And then also creating classifications that distinguish the difference between someone renting a single unit versus someone who is like a commercial operator. And then, of course, establishing clear enforcement processes. So throughout this conversation, I know we've been engaging with the planning department around what does this look like in terms of enforcement. I still don't feel like that's really, really clear. And I don't even know if the planning department is prepared to take on that level of work. While I agree with the 300 feet, I think it should be larger. 20 letters, when you think about that, that's 20 letters that the department is going to have to review for every single one. So I would like to see clearer enforcement processes. I think across the state we've seen departments struggle with that. So I feel like we have an opportunity now to do better.